So that's the first one. The next one, this one was a supreme idiot. Darren Lee Shee. He was 33 then, he'd be 54 now. He was sentenced by Justice Debbie Mullins to 20 years in jail. He's probably out now, the prick, for the murder of a loving couple who he shot execution style with a 9mm pistol in front of their 7 screaming children. Now, this was a marital and relationship investigator who did this in Maryborough in Queensland in 2001. He believed everything his client told him, and his client told him that his ex-wife's new boyfriend was selling drugs, which was not true. Not a word of truth in that whatsoever. The client, Keith McKinnon, nothing's happened to him, nothing. So he told psycho private investigator, marital and relationship, Darren Lee Shee, that he wants this guy put under surveillance, and that's what's happening. Now, Shee stormed their house with this 9mm pistol, made the 2 adults kneel on the floor, and he shot them both in the head in front of their kids. Now, every time one of those kids hears the word private investigator, they'd vomit. It's an awful thing. So they do go wacko. And not all of them, but it can happen. There are early warning signs of that sort of behaviour. It looks a little bit odd in the beginning, then it just gets a little bit stranger, then it gets threatening, and it goes on and on. So what is the difference when you see this in the workplace as a private investigator between factual investigators and surveillance investigators? There are signs that something's not quite right. Now, with factual investigators, every employer in the world, and especially in Australia, of investigators, government, corporate or private, knows when a factual investigator is having a rough time mentally. We all have relationship issues, we all have financial issues, we all have health issues, we all have depression issues, we all have issues, and sometimes that's reflected in our work. Now, with factual investigators, their statements get very ordinary and undetailed. Previously, they were perfect. With their reports, they get scattered and things are left out and things that were in the instructions are not there. Whereas previously, for the last 400 investigations, everything's perfect. So the factual investigation manager and the investigation agency manager can call that person in and say, hey, come on, what's going on? How can we help you? What can we do to help you lift your game? And they might say, oh, I need 6 months off or whatever. And they work with them to do that. And you've got to admire an industry that does that. It's pretty good. They do that, they work with them, they help them, or if they can't handle it, they drop out of it for a year. But I tell you what, it's such a great job. Taking statements, writing reports, it's such a great job. They're back doing it 6 months later somewhere else because it just gets in your system. You enjoy it so much. The incredible thing is what you see on those police shows and in the movies, you never see anyone taking a statement because it's very boring and laborious. You just see kicking out doors and shooting people. Well, that doesn't happen unless you're psycho Darren Lee Shee, right? That doesn't happen. So the factual investigators know straight away, of the employers of factual investigators know straight away when that sort of behaviour is coming in. So they can see that, they can offer support and help where it's possible to do so. Sometimes they might have investigated something that's pretty traumatic, and you do with fatal accidents and children in fatal accidents and what people tell you or that sort of thing. So that can add up, and the person may just need a break or a holiday or something like that. They're going to be fine, but that's the sign. They can see it in the work level of that written work that something's up. So keep that in mind. With surveillance investigators, nobody ever knows. You're going crazy. They can get away with it because they operate alone. They don't congregate in groups. It's not their thing. Surveillance investigators, they're one person once. And that's the difference between police investigations and private investigations is a police surveillance will be 17, 20 people. Private investigation surveillance is one person. That's it. So that's really important to keep that in mind. pause for effect and a drink of water. So they monitor this sort of thing. They monitor the quality of the work. They know what's going on with that. So, keep that in mind as some of the signs that you can see. Some of the things you also see with surveillance people is they might go nutty on social media and start posting stupid, incomprehensible stuff. So that's something that they look out for too.